You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we have a special guest, and we'll get back to her in just a moment. But first, a message from our partner, CallRail. How many high-value cases did you lose in the past year because your firm could not respond fast enough? 81% of law firms say slow response times cost them business, sometimes nearly a quarter of annual revenue. That's why you need CallRail to track your calls. Integrated into your case management system, CallRail is going to help you capture every call, even after hours, spot high-value leads instantly, respond faster, and gain the insights you need to bring in bigger cases. Join over 3,000 law firms using CallRail to follow up faster, land bigger cases, and drive deal growth. Start your free trial today. On behalf of us at Lawyer Stories, callrail.com/Lawyer Stories. Cristina, go to start that today. Now back to our guest. We're joined by Cristina Ortiz, bankruptcy and foreclosure and real estate attorney, founder of the law office of Cristina M. Ortiz, PA, based in South Florida. How are you? Thank you for listening to that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Benny. How are you?
I'm good. And CallRail, they're no joke. They're good people, good partners to have, so I do recommend them highly. And I want to thank you for coming out to the Miami event. It was great to meet you there. Great to connect.
Yes, it was. It was fantastic. I was just sharing earlier that it was a great event just because there were, even though I've been an attorney already for 18 years.
It's crazy. I know.
So many attorneys that I met. It was wonderful.
18 years. It's interesting. I'll tell you a little secret that's going to go out to all these people, but you say 18 years. I'm approaching my 20th year of law school graduation coming up. I got a message like this summer about a 20th anniversary in May. I don't know if I could handle it, but anyway, it's crazy how the time just goes, and it's fun to look back over your career, and so that's what we're going to do a little bit today, because obviously you're doing some cool things, and it was great to have you, and shout out to our friend Hernan. So you're a graduate, 2008. I was 2006, but at Roger Williams Law in Rhode Island. You also went to FSU, go Noles, so that was first. But FIU College of Law, shout out, good school. We know them well now. We've featured many successful attorneys from FIU College of Law. So, but back, and I don't mean like back, but like in 2008, it wasn't quite accredited yet. Like, what made you have that jump to go in there?
Yeah, it was a risk. So I started in 2005, so that's my 1L year, and we were not accredited yet.
Okay.
We did get accredited by the time I graduated, so I did graduate and take the bar from an accredited law school.
Sure.
Why was it risky? Well, I didn't know any better, to be honest with you. I don't have any lawyers in my family. I was taking the LSAT and doing the study courses, and my friends and I were all on the same track. But I thought I was going to go to UM Law because that's what every law student in Miami does. They go to UM.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't get into UM right away.
It's a tough school. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, they put me on the wait list, and I was not having that because I wanted to start after graduating from FSU. So I started at FIU. I did a week, like that first orientation week. UM called me during that time and said,
Wow.
"Oh, we have a spot open."
Wow.
But at that time, I had already met the professors, my fellow students, and I loved it. I thought it was just, I had faith in it. I knew it was going to blow up. I knew it was going to be fantastic. So I stuck it out.
That's amazing. And I really hope that they hear this and they, have you on some panels there. Do you do panels or do you talk to students?
I'm starting to get back involved because graduating in '08, not only were we only like the third or fourth graduating class, so we didn't have a strong alumni.
Right. That's one thing. Right.
But do you remember what happened in '08? I mean, the crisis.
Yeah, I know. Right. It was tough. '08 was tough.
Yeah.
I won't even say what I was doing in '08. But yes, exactly. I get it.
We were studying for the bar, and
right.
people were getting their offers rescinded. Okay.
Wow.
Getting fired without even starting yet. It was that summer.
Yeah.
And I got thrown into, because of '08, I got thrown into just taking whatever was out there. All of us did.
Right.
So people were, you know how it is when you graduate law school, you have like, oh, I'm going to be a corporate lawyer, a litigator. You have all these like fancy ideas of what you
Yeah,
think you
totally.
do. And doing robo, you know, foreclosure, volume, and bankruptcies.
Right.
And we're South Florida. We were ground zero. Do you remember the movie? What's this movie with Christian Bale? Wall Street, The Meltdown,
Yep.
whatever that
Probably
movie.
not. I don't know. So
That's exactly that we were dealing with. So it was ground zero. So I guess it was cool because we were going to court, and even the judges themselves didn't know how to rule these foreclosure cases, these motions. They didn't even know who had the note anymore, the mortgage. And what does that have to do with
wow.
graduating in '08? We were on our own. FIU Law had a small alumni base.
Right.
They were still, even though it's fantastic, they were still growing. So they didn't support us a lot. So we kind of like separated. And now I'm starting in the last couple of years to try to reach out and get involved. I'm thankful for FIU Law. It did a lot
Yeah.
for me, like a lot.
Let me ask you. So, like, when they go from not accredited to accredited, your like second year, do they raise the prices? Like, do they say, "Hey, we're accredited now. You got to pay us another 20 grand a year or something like that"?
That's a good question. I don't know if they immediately did it, but I know now. I mean,
Yeah.
it did go up. I don't know if
Okay.
that's
So now it went up. They
not.
thought maybe they grandfathered you all in or something. But
Right.
yeah, that's great. I love that you have such an allegiance to FIU, and like you don't even have to own it, but you do own it. And it's, that's sort of like, because you're successful on your own will. You know what I mean? A lot of people who went elsewhere might have the bigger alumni base, but you did it on your own. I think that really shows a lot for like the type of attorney and business owner you are. So going back even further than like your law firm career, tell me like the moment. Was there a moment that you're like, hey, I'm going to law school?
I mean, you're talking like when I first had memories of I'm going to be a
Yeah,
lawyer.
just like, some people tell me they saw like a movie or they watched Matlock or they saw like
And my mom, I hated math. I was horrible at math. Like, the scene and like the memes of like parents yelling at the kids at the kitchen table, like, "What's 2 + 2?"
Yeah.
Like,
6?
crying,
Yeah.
crying. Okay, and I remember just being like, "What do I have to do to not do math?" And I was like, "Well, you be a lawyer. It's all like English and reading, and you're good at that." That was a lie. I do math every day. I'm doing numbers. If either I'm doing numbers in the bankruptcy cases or numbers in the real estate closings when I prepare the closing statement. But that's how it started. Great, no math, awesome. Let's go. Let's go be a lawyer.
So where are you from? Are you a Miami person? Like, are you from?
Born and raised in Miami. Yes.
That's amazing. So I guess like are you like a risk taker? Like going to I say like you went to FIU Law, like you gave like confidence, you speak highly of it. Like I said, good school. Like we've featured a few people from there before, but you must be a risk taker. And we'll get into like having your own firm, but is that sort of part of who you are, would you say?
Thank you for saying that, because I've never seen that perspective of myself. I don't think I'm a risk taker.
Okay.
I'm actually very conservative. I hesitate. That's something that I wish I didn't do.
Right.
I do hesitate with big decisions. But you're right, actually. I did take a risk on FIU Law, and going off on my own. But it came with a lot of thinking. I thought about it a lot. I ruminated about it. So I should have pulled the trigger earlier, but hey, that's, hindsight's 2020.
So when you were in law, first of all, like what was your law school experience like? And like, did you have a certain like field that you think you always want to go in? Because I mean, I can answer those questions like pretty solidly. Like, so what about you? Like, did you know you wanted to work in real estate? Like, and also like, did you like the type of law schooling it was?
So I'm going to answer the second question first.
Okay.
Something that, as a high school and college student, what you heard about law school back then was it's cutthroat and people are ripping pages out of the common law books.
Yes.
And it's, everyone's against each other because of the curve. Remember the grading curve?
Oh,
that
God,
whole period? And sabotaging each other and things like that. It was not like that at all. I think because we were the underdog law school in South Florida, we were all like helping each other. We're all friends. We're still friends.
Yeah, it's great.
I don't know how to explain it. It was amazing. We had a great time. My law school experience was wonderful. Now I know there's a definition to it. I didn't realize that that's what it was back then, but I had major imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Same. I got there by accident. I was like, in those first couple of days, I was just sitting there like,
but then then you get that call from Miami Law and you're like, hey guys, like, I could do this. I don't have imposter syndrome. Screw you all. Like,
right. Exactly. But, I did always feel like, oh, his dad is a judge and like she's hooked up, like her family's a family of attorneys. You create these things in your head, like what are those 3 years of why you're not gonna make it.
Totally.
To answer your first question, I never knew what I wanted to do, but I knew what I didn't want to do.
Perfect.
And I think that was important because I knew I wasn't going to be a partner of a big law firm.
Okay.
Why?
Yep.
I don't feel like I play well the game of going up the corporate ladder, the partner route. I just knew that wasn't going to be my route. I saw my mother, who was in the real estate industry. She was always on her own, and she worked with real estate attorneys who were on their own. So I liked that. I liked that feeling of having your own business, your own law firm.
So that's like sort of entrepreneurial. Like, was your mom an entrepreneur?
I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
Because but she was like a solo person. She did mortgages.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say that that's entrepreneurial.
And do you think the imposter syndrome was part of like, oh, I'm not like, they're not going to look at me for a big law firm, or you just didn't want it?
It could have been both, right? Like the psychology of it. Like I didn't even try. Like I remember one of the big names here is Greenberg Trorg, and it's like, okay, we're gonna do the big like FIU law visit to Greenberg, and you're gonna meet the partners, and that's when you get to introduce yourself. And I remember being like, I don't even.
Yeah, who cares? Who the hell is this? No, I shouldn't say that, but I know what you mean.
What I mean? Now, of course,
I mean, I get it too, like, especially with the, the whole imposter syndrome thing, going to a school that took a little while to get accredited. I mean, I think I was there like 8 years after it did or something, or 6 years, but I totally get that. But it sounded like you had like a really positive experience there and really like kind of took it for what it was worth. So you thought you would do real estate?
I thought I was going to do something with transactions, real estate. I did not want to litigate. I had worked a little bit at the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office, so I was in the criminal court rooms every morning while I was in law school, because back then they allowed what was called like, they had certified legal interns. That's what we were.
Okay.
Interns were not licensed attorneys, but because we're a third-year law student, we were able to, do silly motions, silly meaning like nothing serious, right? And I just didn't, that's just not me. I did not see myself in a criminal litigating situation. Yeah. I just did not see that. So I knew I didn't want to litigate. So I knew I was going to do transactions, things like that.
Okay. And when you go back to like the bell curve or whatever, like we had that too. I mean.
Yeah. Does that still exist?
I don't know. But it was one of those things where I think like if you're at a school, no hate on my school, but they sort of, they want to weed out a little bit. Like they want to make sure like people rise and then some people are weeded a little bit. And if you're not serious, you're gone. I think that was my perception, so you had to sort of stay in there and like obviously do the best you could, which you should be doing in law school. But anyway, this podcast is about you. So, let's move on.
I really like the conversation we're having here because it did influence, the next 10 years of what I did after FIU Law, and the timing too. Believe it or not, graduating in 2008 in that foreclosure crisis made it easy for me. And let me explain why. Yeah. I never had to do billable hours. A lot of my friends didn't. We had so much work. We had all of my colleagues and friends and I, we usually worked at a bankruptcy law firm, foreclosure firm. You either were on the bank side or on the consumer side. And everyone had like lines out the door. So we didn't have to do billable hours. It was very much, be organized, handle your caseload. And this could be a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 for you, which I welcomed. I was like, okay, I'm pretty good at this. I could do this.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most fun, interesting, kind of law work, but
Is
I
this
was,
and you're talking about your first job?
yeah,
So
yeah.
what was tell us about your first job.
So it lasted very little because of the economy.
Right.
I worked for a criminal defense lawyer in
Okay.
Coral Gables, and I always say this story is that it was a lot of fun and very gossipy because our clients were drug dealers and a lot of white collar crime. I usually knew their kids. I went to like an all girl private Catholic school here in Miami.
Nice.
So it's interesting. I know. But I say it all the time, like even drug dealers couldn't afford their bills during the economic crisis. They over leveraged themselves too. They got into bad mortgages and bought properties that they couldn't sustain. So
Yeah.
eventually, the criminal attorney laid off all his one first year associates, including me.
Yeah.
And I freaked out, Benny. I thought, what a failure I am. I got, fired in the first like couple months of being a lawyer.
Right. You took that on yourself. You took it personally.
Oh my gosh. I got a job in a
Could you notice, like, when he did that and you said he fired all the first year associates, like, could you notice that his business was, like, going down a little bit? Like, there wasn't as much business? Is that kind of what happened?
I noticed that we had huge invoices outstanding. Like
Okay.
I was,
All right.
I'm sending invoices to our clients and they're like 80 grand, they were large.
Yeah.
And I was a little taken aback by that. And I just, it's my first job as a lawyer.
Of course.
Baby lawyers were called, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, damn, it's like a high bill, but hey, I guess this is what people pay.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Nobody paid them. So I remember like around the holidays, right before the holidays, I was seeing that. So I suspected something. I just didn't know it was coming like that.
Okay, so tell us the transition. So what happened after that? Like, is there a transition into like real estate?
Yeah, so I didn't realize I was practicing real estate in my foreclosure and bankruptcy days because I was doing what they're called short sales.
Right.
I was basically doing closings, real estate closings, but the seller wasn't getting any money. In fact, they were actually selling their property for less than what they owed the bank. Okay. I just didn't see it as a closing. That nobody's happy, nobody's popping champagne and getting keys, So I was doing
hold on. Nobody's popping champagne. That's awesome.
No.
Just kind of, might not be the
so
all right.
We started popping champagne a little bit in like 2014, 2015 when things were getting better.
Yeah.
But between 2008 and like 2011, 2012, 13, I was doing a lot of real estate closings. I just didn't realize it was real estate. It was part of my foreclosure.
So, all right. So I just want to get a hold on what your first job with real estate was. Like what the action was.
Short sales.
What's that?
Short sales.
Short sales. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But, okay. So sorry. Keep talking. Like people weren't popping bubbly and like they weren't doing that for a couple years later.
Yeah. So I was at that firm. It was a small boutique firm, but we had a good amount of attorneys. And I enjoyed it. I liked my momentum that I had there. And it started drying up, though, I would say, like around 2013. So when things started drying up, the particular firm that I was at, the owners, the partners were just out of one day in one meeting, were like, oh, hey, everybody, we're going to do mortgages now. And everybody has to get a mortgage license. I was like, what the hell? Like,
wow.
Mortgages? I don't even have a license. I don't know what the hell to do. Because the economy was getting a little bit better, so now they want to jump back into mortgages.
Right.
Now, a year or two before this, chatter amongst friends is, you need to go off on your own. You need to go off on your own. And I was like, no way, that's so risky. I like my paycheck.
Okay, yeah.
And well, we're lawyers, and that when you go off on your own, you realize how much your bosses were making off of you. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what my colleagues would tell me, like, you don't know how much they're making off of you, whatever. The point is, the firm downsized. I decided that was a good time.
What year was this?
January of 2014. So that's when I officially went off on my own.
Okay. Wow.
And I went, tell you about risks and lack of planning. I had nothing. I went to Office Depot like at 10 o'clock at night and printed out like business cards.
Yeah.
And started talking to people.
But that's part of your story. It's amazing. I mean, like you like remember that. Like you probably remember how you felt like going in there. Like, what should I put on my business card?
Yeah.
What should I
I
put
was like in gym clothes at 11 o'clock at
Yeah.
night in a line at Office Depot.
Yeah.
Like the office store, like getting printed things that you did on like you designed on like the Office Depot
Yeah.
app.
It's amazing though to think back, right? Like and how you just kind of like. So what made you ultimately like take that jump?
The which on my own, like the going off on my own.
In 2014.
It had been a long time coming. I had been talking about it and just say, I'm gonna do it. And then that whole change, that drastic change of the mortgage thing, kind of, I didn't like it. It didn't feel good. It was basically their way, the partners at the time, their way to talk about filtering, and it was their way of pushing. Instead of firing you, they were going to push you out by force.
So they wanted you to, what do you mean, get mortgage it? Like, what did they want you to do? Like,
they wanted us to get our mortgage license. We're going to be preparing like doing private loans and hard money loans, and we're doing the promissory notes for our clients and things like that. But they wanted us to be licensed, and that was a way of forcing us out, and it worked because I left with other attorneys, and I just started.
Yeah, you're a lawyer. You're not going to do that,
right? Exactly.
So I mean, you could, but why would you take this guy's directive? Was he a lawyer, the boss at the time?
Yeah, my bosses were three attorneys, three partners.
So you do this. You're at. What are you thinking? You're getting your business cards printed up, and like, do you know what type of law? Like, you're going to be like, okay, at that point where you're like, I'm going to do bankruptcy, foreclosure, and real estate.
Yes, I was just going to continue with what I had been practicing for the last several years. It's all I knew. I wasn't going to take on a criminal case. I would.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Not practice. So yes, I said I did real estate law because to me it encompassed foreclosure and anything that has to do with a property. And I was scared. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Cristina, like looking back, like what advice can you give somebody who's thinking about going out to start their own law firm?
And I'm gonna give what was given to me, and it was gold. It was every day you get dressed as if you have something to do that day, and you meet with 2 people a day, whether you know them or not. Which that goes to networking. It's just talk about what you're doing, talk about yourself, and not in a ego way. Just, hey, I just went off on my own. This is what I'm going to be doing. Family, friends. Then from there you go to the circles. Then who you went to high school with, who you went to college with.
Right.
People.
So do you remember the first case you got, and B, like when you were working on something like where you were like, hey, like this is going to work out?
Okay, I didn't feel like it's going to work out probably about a year or 2 later.
Okay.
I know exactly where my first cases came from. One was from a very successful real estate agent here in Miami. She was my first client, and it was referred by a family friend which is the same family friend that told me, Christy, when you wake up, don't do laundry. Because when you go off on your own, you think you have all the time in the world.
Yeah. Right. When you wake up, don't do your laundry. Yeah, that's true.
Go to get coffee with someone. Like get dressed you have something to do.
That's actually really good advice. So, tell me again? Like somebody gave you that advice like right away?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he's the one that referred me the same real estate agent that became my first client. I did a short sale loan modification for her, and then another thing I did when I went off on my own because I was scared and had no idea what the heck I was doing. Is I got a mentor, and not like an official mentor, like a coach. I just went to a friend of mine that I knew was doing his thing for like 5 years already, which to me was super successful. I was like, wow, you're on your own for 5 years. And I went to his office and sat there in his conference room, and I said, okay, what do I do? He's like, you're going to open a bank account. You got to go open up your articles of incorporation. You got to get a tax ID, get your accountant. How are you going to set yourself up? Here's my person. Whoever he told me to use, I used. Wherever he told me to open up a bank account, I went and opened up a bank account.
Were you like, oh my gosh, like I have to do all that? Like when he was starting to tell you all, like you gotta, separate the money like from your personal money. You gotta have like your business
operating trust.
Yeah, right. Like
yeah.
Okay.
And but let me tell you, I'm super grateful. And then he referred me another big case, like my first big case. It was a third DCA, so an appellate court foreclosure.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I could do this, and I won it.
Wow.
So, when you win the third DCA cases, that was my first and last third DCA case. I've never gotten that opportunity again.
What does that stand for? Like, what is that?
It's not just the regular like circuit court. It's a higher court. It's before the Supreme Court of Florida.
Okay. All right.
So it's a bigger deal. Carries heavier.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So I got published saying that like this case won, and when I'm the winning attorney, now it wasn't a flood. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't like phones are ringing off the hook. No, it was just I started getting more steady
Okay.
calls. So I would say I started feeling comfortable like 2 to 3 years after that.
Yeah.
It's finally
Yeah.
there was a nice steady pace, and then where it really went from like 1 month to the next of just everything skyrocketed was probably like 2015, 2016. My foreign buyers, Venezuelans, I just went from one Venezuelan transaction to like a lot of South Americans, and I started
Really?
becoming the real estate attorney, closing attorney when you're buying or selling property for South Americans. And
Really?
that really, and that's when I started doing videos and seminars. I speak Spanish because of my background. My parents are
Yeah.
Cuban, but I
Okay.
don't speak Spanish. I mean, I speak
Yeah.
Miami Spanglish. I
Okay.
say things wrong all the time in Spanish. So that was another hump that I had to get over, is getting over it, like getting over myself, and just that's it. Just start speaking in Spanish, and it's worked.
So do you think like those particular clients were open like the floodgates for you and like getting a
Yes,
lot of like clients?
yes.
Okay. So
And
that's
I learned about WhatsApp. Talk about like practical, funny things.
yeah.
I have like these Venezuelan clients, and they're like, uh, write me through WhatsApp. And I'd be like,
I
what's
hate
up?
WhatsApp. So like yeah,
Hell is
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp? But that's how all of South America
A lot
communicates.
of people do WhatsApp. I don't
It's
yeah.
insane. So
So
WhatsApp and my South American clients, I have everything to thank them for sure.
yeah. So how did you meet them?
Through a family friend, and he
Uh,
introduced me to a real estate agent who did closings with all of her friends, and clients and family were from Venezuela. And that was a big year. A lot of Venezuelans came from Venezuela that year. Those,
So 2014 was like kind of a big year. And then, so a couple years later, you're kind of doing your thing. Like, tell us, like, you often talk about like the marriage between real estate and bankruptcy, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
sure, I do believe there is, because I've seen it. When in '08, for example, all of my clients that were in bankruptcy, I was getting them out of debt. They were losing their houses. 6, 7 years later, 5, 6, 7 years later, their credit's healthy again. They want to start over. And now they're coming back to me and saying, hey, we're ready to buy again. And at that time, things had already changed. Now,
Okay.
the loan
Okay.
application is serious. There's
Yep.
like federal laws about housing and truth in lending. And people that were in a crappy spot in '08, now in 2015, are in a spot again to buy. Okay. That lasted a good amount of time. And then what happened? COVID.
Right.
COVID, everyone is like taking advantage of like the super low interest rates. They bought
Right.
multiple properties. 6 years later, in 2025, 2026, I'm starting to see again some of those people are, hey, I can't quite afford this property anymore. Property taxes are going up. Homeowners insurance in Florida is going seriously up. And now they're starting to either sell under what is owed to the bank. So the marriage is that it's like a seesaw. When my bankruptcy practice is up, the real estate is down. When the real estate is up, the bankruptcy is down.
Okay.
So it's been a very good balance for my practice specifically.
Interesting. So, speaking of your practice, I want you to tell us the name of your practice, and I want you to tell us what kind of law you're specifically doing.
Sure. So it's the law office of Cristina Ortiz. It's so long to say, but Cristina Ortiz, law office of Cristina Ortiz. And I do bankruptcy and real estate. And I actually keep them separate just because it's a different
Yeah.
vibe, it's a different area, right? But it's bankruptcy and real estate. And I love both. They're so different. Both
So,
of them.
who's coming to Christina for real estate? Like, what kind of I mean, we've talked about the matters, but I just want to hear them all grouped into
Yeah.
one. You tell us what you're doing with real estate.
Sure. So my business source, like my referral source for the real estate, are real estate agents, real estate brokers. So those are the ones that I'm really courting, networking with, keeping the relationship with. But
Yeah.
I have two profile of clients. I have my foreign client who wants me to review the contract, translate things, make them feel comfortable with the real estate process here in South Florida. And then I have, the young families Young meaning, our age, late
Yeah.
30s,
Maybe,
40s.
maybe your age, Miss
Yeah.
Cristina.
So
Not my
that
age
was a
anymore.
profile.
Yeah.
So those are the type of people that I like to work with that
Yep.
are working with me. On the bankruptcy side, the
Hold
market.
on. I want to go back. I'm sorry. I'm cutting you off because I want to go back to real estate. I want you to tell me like the actions that you're doing. You're doing closings. What else?
Sure. So, you've bought or sold properties and you go through the
Yes.
closing process.
Yes.
I am basically making sure that whatever you're buying is free and clear of any title defects,
Okay.
liens, permits, code violations. I clean all that stuff up.
Gotcha.
And then
Okay.
I get you to the closing table. And there we're popping champagne and we're exchanging keys and you're signing all your documents and taking pictures at my
Good.
office.
Okay. Are you doing the closing too?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. Now tell us about bankruptcy. We'll move over to the bankruptcy side of things.
So that world is a little more, I wouldn't say negative. It's just a different posture. The client's coming to you in distress.
Yeah.
They're embarrassed. They don't feel great. They hate that they're making a call to your office, but they know at this point it's a necessity. They've tried their best to avoid get going to your office. So
Right.
I have really good staff right now that they're so compassionate and patient and loving. They kind of soften me up a little bit. So
Really?
yeah, because those clients that call me, I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel like I'm going to get them peace of mind at some point. The cloud and the stress of debt,
Yeah.
like they don't sleep. These people are sick. They're
Yeah.
not sleeping. They're stressed out of their minds.
Sure.
So I treat them differently. You have to hold their hand a little more. You have to be their
Yeah.
therapist
Yeah.
sometimes. But you see, that I feel is more rewarding for me because getting somebody, we've all been super stressed and have gone through awful times in our lives where that feeling of like you're like, how long is this gonna last? Like it's
Yeah.
gonna be weeks
Yeah.
or
It's like
months.
you don't know when you're going to get out of it.
Correct. Because even when I'm in the process of they've hired me, now I'm preparing their petition, I'm presenting the case to the judge of their finances, their debts, their income, their assets, what got them into the situation. They're still in debt. They don't have relief
Yeah. It
yet.
just feels so exposing, like so like
Oh,
vulnerable. It's like
yeah. Let me give you a little relief though. When in '08, '09, those years, bankruptcy court was you walked in and there were hundreds of people there, attorneys and other people like you, and it was so exposing. They'd be like, "What? Tell me about your diamond ring. What art do you have in your house?" I mean, it was nasty. Now, after
the
COVID,
judge would say that.
trustees were auditing your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was not nice. It was not nice.
Yeah.
Now it's at Zoom. Now we do it through Zoom. You get to be at home, or you don't feel so exposed.
Right.
It's not glaring eyeballs at you like it was back in the day. But it's nonetheless not a nice experience. That's why I tell my clients, I say, I understand this is not a pleasant experience, but my job is to make sure that at the end of this process, whether it's in 4 weeks from now or 90 days from now, we get you that magical order of discharge where all of
Right.
your debt goes away and you can start from scratch.
Yeah.
And when I get that for the client, I feel really good. And I
Yeah.
love delivering that news.
What
That's the
can't be discharged again? What is it that can't be discharged?
IRS debt,
Okay.
which, yeah, like they always say, like death and taxes are like you
Right,
can't
right,
avoid
right.
that, right? It's not forgivable. So child support,
Okay.
IRS,
All right.
certain government loans cannot be discharged.
Okay.
And any debt that was somehow taken on through fraud, like for example, if you have a monetary judgment against you, or like somebody sued you
Mhm.
because you did civil fraud,
Yeah.
and you can't discharge that judgment because you were found guilty of fraud.
Right.
Something like that. Those are the type of things you cannot discharge in bankruptcy. And something else I tell my clients to make them feel a little bit better is we have to remember, okay, and maybe I'm being biased because I'm a bankruptcy attorney. Bankruptcy is a legal tool that everyone and their mother has used. We got Donald Trump, American
I was gonna say you sound like
Ford,
Trump right now.
Hammer,
I was gonna say you sound like Trump saying that, but it's true, right? It's a legal
Right.
tool. That's how lawyers think about it. It's a legal tool. I get it. I feel like I'm having two different podcasts. Like we got the bankruptcy side and then we got the real estate side. But I like that. Like it's kind of an interesting mix. I mean, it's like you just kind of picked like why the bank. How did you kind of discover the bankruptcy thing?
If you remember, I got thrown into that crisis crap in '08.
Right.
The I was doing both.
And so you felt, was it because you felt like you knew it and you just like stuck with it sort of thing? Yeah. That's how it, so I'm in housing, Christina. Like I started in housing in like '09 or '10, 2010, you know, and now I'm like an executive director of like housing. Like, so sometimes when you start in something, you just like, I don't want to say you can't get out of it, but like, you know, there were times when I thought I was going to be a personal injury attorney in law school because I love torts and I love product liability and I liked all that stuff. But
have you ever litigated fought in court?
I mean, I've done like I did a small claims thing once, and I think like the dude on the other side was sleeping, so I don't think that really counts. And then I did I did like I did in like housing court in New Haven, like the housing session. I mean, I sat there. They'd call my case. I'd go up there, but honestly, like I was very anxious about it. Like I learned when I went to court, and I'm saying this because I pride myself on authenticity. But like I would get like physical symptoms of anxiety, like going into court because I didn't have a good mentor. I didn't have somebody who was really like showing me what to do. It was just I shouldn't say that. I did have a good mentor who was outside counsel to the housing authority. I kind of learned like housing session from them, but it was still like, at a point where you wanted to let the defendant leave the courthouse before you did. You know what I mean? Because it was like they had nicer cell phones than you, and like they was kind of anyway. But yes, so I did do like a little bit of it, but not like a lot, sort of thing.
I just went with what I was comfortable with,
yes.
What I was not gonna do a bad job at. Right? I was always definitely afraid of malpractice, like being that person that just completely botches a case for a job. I mean, that's happened, and I've seen it happen to other attorneys, and I'm like, oh. I mean, talk about risk takers. I know people that take on a cases that they've never even dabbled in.
I know. And look, I mean, I had one of my friends who was on the podcast. He was episode 3, and then episode whatever, and then he came on like in the 200s, and he made the point. He's a big trucking lawyer, and he made the point like your client only gets one chance. So you take something on, like especially personal injury. It's like they get one chance, and like if you don't get them the money that they need to recover or to make them whole, like that's not good, right? Like, to say it plainly, it's like not good. But so it's difficult, but I think it goes back to the imposter syndrome too. Like, I mean, I always go back to like saying like, if not you, like then who, right? So I felt the same way, and like we didn't graduate too far apart in law school years, but I don't think at that time like imposter syndrome was like really a thing.
No.
Or it was a thing, but it wasn't like named, right? And people weren't talking about it because that would have been like, whoa, that would have been a very interesting moment, I think.
Were you working for the housing department in 2008? Like, what was it from that perspective?
No, my first job was I didn't get like a first legal job till like a few years after law school. It was a shit show for me. That's part of the reason, I'll tell you some other time, but that was part of the reason I started Lawyer Stories. Because it took me so long to really like get my feet under me and like figure it out, and to, I mean, I was at the point in law school where I didn't even know what state I wanted to take the bar in. You know what I mean? So that's like, I'm originally from Maine. Have you ever heard of the state of Maine?
I have no. Like, have I ever been there?
No, have you ever heard of it? Maine? I'm from Maine. I know, I'm from Portland, Maine. Like, and I went to law school in Rhode Island. I'm like, it was a mess. So that's,
Conversations, yes, this Lawyer Stories is amazing, but you're asking about getting involved with FIU Law. And one of my things that I like to do with FIU Law is I like to go back and talk to the students.
Yeah.
Because when I was in law school, and I don't know about you, we have these speakers and like these alumni come back, and like that they, their stories were always like, I was valedictorian.
Yeah. No, I know.
And it's like, we need average, like normal stories.
Well, that's, I don't know if you've ever heard the whole thing, like, the beast, the A students or the professor. You've heard the whole thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, but you can't, hindsight's 2020 now, right? Like, you can't really go back and, like, you can't understand that when you're there, like, in the grind, and there's just so many things that I don't think about that often, but you know what? Today I'm not even going to say what I was doing today. I'll tell you after online what I was doing today regarding my law school, because I started to think about how I've been out almost 20 years, and I don't know. I have like this platform now, and it's just kind of what happened to those law school years? You know, what was I doing?
Okay.
You know, but all right, back to you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, this is fascinating. I like it.
So tell us, Christina, tell us what are like some of the biggest mistakes homeowners make when facing foreclosure or financial distress.
That's easy. They wait until the last minute. They're just like, kicking the can down like the road, and they're just thinking like it's gonna get figured out, or oh, I made a call. A lot of people rely on like, oh, I called them and they said this. And I wish I could get that through to everybody. You have to be proactive right away. Talk to an attorney immediately. Even if you can't hire someone right away, at least have a consultation so that you're directed in the a proper direction. Waiting until the last minute is the biggest mistake that everybody does. Last minute means you've been served already with the case. Like you don't respond. You have 20 days to respond to the foreclosure lawsuit. You're dilly-dallying, looking at, oh, let me call this person, let me call a realtor, let me talk to this person, let me do credit cards. People do a bunch of stuff that is not what they need to do. And waiting until the last minute is the biggest mistake.
What's your staff like now? Like if somebody calls your office, like you mentioned the staff earlier, like is there like a bankruptcy side? Is it the foreclosure? I know you said you keep it sort of separate, but is it all one firm still?
Yeah, so I used to have it separate, and I even had like different phone numbers and everything, but just I would say over the years, probably the last 4 years, it's all kind of consolidated as far as like contacting my office. I have one phone number. I have my she's great. She's the soft point of my office. What we do is we offer. You call my office. You give like the background of what you need. If I could help you, great. I do give free consultations. I know a lot of attorneys don't.
That's good.
Complimentary, like 15-20 minute consultations, because I want to know about you and see if I could help you.
Yeah.
So that's how we go. And then, I send you over my agreements and whatever we talked about, and I put it, the ball's in the lead's court, the client's court at that point. So, and then it's a team. Yeah. It's me. I have a legal assistant. I have a paralegal, and we all talk and work together.
That's awesome. So for someone who's overwhelmed and afraid of like losing their home, right? Like what would you tell them their first step should be?
Yeah, they overwhelmed. There's different scenarios, but let's just talk about one where, and this is common in the clients that I take on, is that they just can't catch up on the payments. Okay, like they missed one, then one snowballed into 3 payments. Now we're talking 6 months, 8 months. You haven't paid your mortgage.
Yeah.
The first thing is you can apply for there are hardship options, especially if it's your primary residence where you live. Your lender is supposed to give you a hardship opportunity, whether it's a forbearance, temporary, or a loan modification. You can apply for that. And in the loan modification, what you're doing is you're kind of like reapplying for the loan, and you're showing your income, blah, blah, blah. You write a letter as to why you're in this situation. And the based on what they see, based on if you have an income and you can make some sort of mortgage payment,
right,
they approve you for a temporary loan modification, even permanent loan modifications. So that is an option. You don't have to go the legal route. You don't even have to hire an attorney yet. You can do it yourself. Right. Do I recommend it? No, but you can do it yourself. It's all about follow-up. Like these lenders don't know what the heck is going on. Nobody's talking to each other. It's super disorganized. So unfortunately, it's either you or your attorney's duty to be on top of these people like every day. What do you need? Do you need a pay stub? You need my tax return? No, I resent it. Let me send it again. That's the type of like, I call it like wrangling. Like I feel like I'm herding cattle, but that is available. Now, if you realize that you just have no income, there's no way you can afford any payment, then let's talk about selling your property. Get something out of it. It's heartbreaking at times because sometimes these people have been living in their homes for 20, 30 years. They raise their families. But I would say selling the property. That's why real estate and bankruptcy, like you said, and foreclosure does go hand in hand, because I've been able to refer home, do a sale for someone who is in foreclosure, a home sale.
Okay.
So those are the two things that I would say to consider if you're overwhelmed and.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, I could see that, and usually you can get a loan modification, or like they would say like, or do they do payment plans too? So, or no, that's
Yes,
kind of, okay,
yeah.
yeah,
There are options. Again,
options, yeah.
if you call them like that first month or two that you're struggling, you have plenty of options. The more time that passes, the less options you have. That's why it goes back to what I said earlier. Don't wait until the last minute. Try to be proactive early.
Okay. So a huge part of your practice focusing on educating Hispanic clients and like sort of breaking down complex legal concepts. Like, tell us why it's so personal for you to be doing this.
Yeah. Well, when I started and I was doing the foreclosures and bankruptcies, a lot of my clients, what I realized is that they were Hispanics. They only spoke Spanish. They were not explained what they were not explained what they were signing. They
Sure. Yeah.
were signing things, had no idea what it meant, had no idea that you could lose your house. They didn't even know. They weren't even explained the closing statement or things about foreclosure. It was just like they weren't understanding that a bank could take away their house. Like that's how basic.
Wow.
So that was a repeated theme. It was happening. That was every client's story.
Isn't that like unconscionability or something? I haven't used that term in a while, but wouldn't that be like considered unconscionable? Like
that was an affirmative defense that I used back in the day. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. See, I could do what you do. No.
Yeah. So the banks were unconscionable in how they sold you and caught you in these.
Did it work?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh,
but I still tried it.
Yeah.
No, but there's things like unclean hands, unconscionability, unfair practices, debt collection practices, things like that. So that still happens in other ways now. And that is what leads clients in bankruptcy and foreclosure. They didn't know what the heck they were getting into. Even something like credit cards, you could come, my background's Cuban, so we're not going to talk about immigration policy. We're just going to talk about what happens.
Yeah.
You come to this country, you don't even have a social security number. You don't even have a status. And you could go to like Macy's or one of these, you could go and get a credit card. It's insane.
Yeah, it's wild.
What do you think?
Yeah.
You come to this country and you don't know the systems and you're like, oh my gosh, I got $5,000. I got $3,000 on this card. Like, that's
it's like being a college kid. Look, like one of my buddies like ran up. They had those little things and like a little table outside the dorm, and like he got a credit card.
That was kind of a little scam too. They'd give you free pizza if you
applied. Like, here's a T-shirt. Go get. Here's a like.
At FSU, they did a T-shirt or they did Papa John's pizza.
Yeah. Well,
of course, what college kid doesn't want a free pizza?
Yeah,
so
no kidding. Yeah.
And you fill out the application, and now you have a credit card.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
So what I did was talk about the education and all of that is probably like 5 or 6 years ago, the same questions and the same themes kept coming up. So by the way, talk about like what advice to going up on their own. YouTube and social media was what also helped me a lot. Like 2018, 2019, I started doing a lot of videos. Tacky, not tacky, nice, edited, I started doing videos. And from those videos came about a lot of frequently asked questions. So I just did, I used those questions and put it in a book version in Spanish that I could kind of give out as a souvenir, or if a client hired me, I'd give it to them for free. I'd do gifts to the clients, things like that. So that's how I kind of felt better about explaining things to them.
What do you mean about tacky? Why do you say that?
Yesterday I was at a social media conference, and what I mean by tacky, feeling that your video wasn't good quality enough. The audio is not great enough. I didn't do my makeup that day. No. I don't have fancy captions. I don't know.
That's not tacky. I wouldn't define that as tacky.
You could feel self-conscious about that. So I know I did. When I first started doing videos, I still hate the sound of my voice. Yeah. I would post it and not even listen to it again.
I don't even look. I try to, when I upload a podcast, on my drive to work, I'll sometimes if I remember, I'll press the Apple play, and then just to get the download. And then I'll be I can't listen to myself. This is this is awful. This is nails on a chalkboard, chalk on a chalkboard. I can't.
So that's what I meant. I started doing videos and people consumed them. They loved it on YouTube, especially.
Well, sometimes I will put on I'll put on YouTube if I need I'll just have a drink and be hey, look at me, I'm on my TV on YouTube. Anyway, But yes, no, I understand what you're saying. And okay, so you wrote a book in Spanish.
Yeah, I mean, right. I wrote a book that sounds very like it was it was a Q&A.
Yeah.
I basically copied all of the questions that we get at the office all the time about the process of bankruptcy and will I be able to buy a house ever again after I file for bankruptcy, and will I lose my car if I file for bankruptcy? Like those questions, I did like a style of like bankruptcy for dummies, like Q&A, like will I ever get credit again? Yes, and then I
Amazing.
explanation. Yeah, I have a copy of it here just because I wanted you to see. And so here, look at me. I look like a Baywatch lifeguard. It's a
How,
little.
how many copies of those do you have at your house?
I have, I don't know, like 30.
Can you autograph one and send it to me?
I would love to.
I like to collect books from people. Like I have a few books from people on my pod. Like they sign it and they,
Well, look, it's a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
You know, I have like a little explanation of my office. It was for marketing. So
Yeah,
I say
of course.
it's a book, but it was like a, you know,
It's
and
awesome. I love the
it's
baby.
called Salvavidas Financiero. It's like your financial lifesaver, like you're drowning in debt.
Ayudar, Ayudar.
Yes, exactly.
I won the 7th grade Spanish award. So,
Good for you. I
yeah,
didn't win the Spanish award in 7th grade.
they might have made a mistake, but I don't think they did. But you should.
Gringo, that's a funny story. I was putting Gringo. Gringo is like the white American class, like with all the non-Spanish speakers. That's the Spanish
Yeah.
class I put me in because I didn't speak Spanish.
That's awesome. No, that's really cool. I love that you did that. Did you self-publish it?
Yeah, yeah. My husband helped me with it a lot. It was his idea.
That's
He put it
amazing.
together. He got it published, and it was an amazing idea. I love it.
So cool. So regarding going back to international clients, like how has working with these global clients really shaped your understanding of like trust, communication, and like long-term relationships?
Well, the foreign clients, and I don't want to use the word foreign. I guess let's call them, they're not from the U.S., okay? They confide in you a lot because just because they're from another country doesn't mean that they're not, accomplished or smart, or it's just a different freaking process. So they do confide in you a lot. They confide in you for things more than real estate. I'll have a wife text me on WhatsApp asking me like, where do I put my kid in school, or
Yeah.
what area, things like that. So it's a long-term relationship because they think of you years later. Okay. Something else that I've noticed is that when it could get frustrating dealing with clients from out of the country because they're not understanding why things are required here that are for their own safety.
Mm.
So having to explain that is interesting. Like, for example, I have a lot of Colombian clients, and in Colombia, when you buy a house, you give the money, you haven't even closed yet, you give that first deposit, which here is called like the first escrow, like that good faith escrow, is held in a trust account here in the United States until closing. You're giving it to the seller right away. It goes into their pocket. That seller could do whatever the heck they want. They could disappear, they could walk away, which is incredibly risky.
Yeah.
We have an escrow. We hold it in a trust account. That thing is protected. Attorneys can't even touch a penny in a trust account.
Right.
They don't understand, like, why do I have to send money to you, and where's it going to go, and who's going to have it? I'm like, listen, it's in a trust account, okay? That is safe there. And in Colombia, you're giving them the money straight to the seller. So
Right.
having to explain those concepts can lead to, I've gotten better at it, and I still try to get better at it, explaining those concepts. So that could be a little, tough sometimes.
Yeah, no, totally. But obviously, you're a very trustworthy person. They come to you, they trust you, they've built a relationship like long term with you. So that's something to take great pride in, I would say.
Yes, absolutely.
And speaking of trust, like you've really built your practice centered on trust and community impact. Like, tell me what that looks like day to day.
Well, I am, I'm going to toot my own horn here. I love maintaining my relationships. Not only with the people that I work with and provide me like with their clients that trust me with their clients, like our mutual friend Hernan, his girlfriend is a real estate agent, and I have maintained a trusting friend-like relationship with her for many years. And because that's important to me, I want the person to think of me, feel good with me when they're sending over a coveted client to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then with the client themselves, updates. I am big on communication, even if it's not from me, whether it's an email, a text, or a call. If we represent you in anything, you're going to get a call from us pretty often. Because what people don't like, I've noticed, is like nothing could be happening in their case. I mean, even their case could be like completely crashing. But if they're silent, there's silence, no updates. That's what people don't like.
Can I jump in here? So I'm actually doing the CLE. I'll send you the info when I have the link, but I'm doing the CLE alongside our friends at Case Status in March, and we're talking all about like communication and like ethics of attorneys, and it'll be a good one. You'll get a CLE for an hour of like listening to it. I'll send it out to you when I have the link and everything. So, but
That's
yes, I
something
think
that
communication's key.
Yeah, the communication and the trust, I think, go hand in hand, because if the client feels that if they email me or if they call me and we pick up the phone, even if we can't get back to them that minute, but within a few hours, it definitely helps build the trust. And then that trust will develop into word of mouth, testimonials, recommendations. It works. So I
Yeah,
invest
totally.
in
I
the
love that.
communication and updates with my clients.
And you care about your business. Like this is your business. You had a journey, to get there. And now you've grown it and you're successful. So, and you care about it. Like you care about the reputation. So, tell us like in a high stress like foreclosure and bankruptcy, like how are you balancing like legal strategy with being compassionate to your client?
So I have a little funny story slash approach to that. When it's a high stress, it's usually because we don't have much time. If when in my type of law, that's what's at stake. You're gonna lose your house. You're gonna lose your property in 2 days. Tomorrow, tomorrow there's a sale. Now I have to file an emergency motion. So believe it or not, I cut straight to the chase with the client. There's no soft butterflies and flowers there. I'm like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. I need to do this, this, and this. I need this from you, and I need it now. And we can't guarantee any results as attorneys, but that's what I tell people is if you work with me, if we're on this, we can possibly save your house. So there's no long conversations where I'm going to be your therapist for 45 minutes. No, I'm telling you, we have a sale tomorrow or the day after. I have to file an emergency motion today, get a court hearing tomorrow. And so we got to act fast. And then they usually like that truthfulness, they really appreciate it. And then after, when I win or whatever, there's a process of, okay, and then it's like reverse. Then I explain the process to them afterwards.
Right.
But I do jump into action pretty quickly. I get things done. I can say that about me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to see you in action. I bet you're really like focused and watch out for Cristina. Don't mess with her. She's, I don't know why I get that sense.
My emails, I'm known for my emails, my lethal emails. Like
really?
at 3 in the
I want to get one. Can you send me one tomorrow? No, I'm just kidding. So if you could give one piece of advice to families trying to protect their financial future, what would it be?
Okay, that's a good question. Just be aware. I know that sounds so general, but you'll be surprised at how many people are like very like, oh, I thought my husband was la la la, and yeah, we did get that letter, but we didn't open it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not making fun of anyone or speaking negatively, but that happens a lot. And we're talking people in finance, doctors. We're not talking about uneducated people.
Yeah.
We all, it's fascinating, but be aware. I mean, it's your billing, it's your accounts, it's your mortgage payments. I had a client recently reach out to me and was like, oh, one day they stopped auto debiting my account. So I just thought, okay, that's their problem. Oh, there was a glitch in like the account, but it's fun. You can't just turn the other cheek. So be aware, I think is the best thing, which then turns into, when you get into trouble, consult with professionals.
That makes sense. So when you look at your career from 2008 to today, like what are you most proud of in terms of your impact to the community?
I helped a lot of people. I like that. I've helped a lot of people, and I've been part of very important decisions in people's lives. There's something, not all closings are like this, but there's something sweet. Like I think it's sweet when I see a couple or a family buying their first home.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, I did a closing for a young girl, 24 years old, buying her first property. And her parents, immigrants, don't speak English, went with her. And they were like emotional.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like getting teary right now.
No, that's awesome. That's so cool. So you get like both ends of the spectrum with that, and then you get the bankruptcies. So it's kind
Yes.
of
And then, clients have evolved into like buying their like second home, having babies.
yeah.
I have a friend, this is gonna be the third closing we do. I did his first like brickle apartment, condo, single guy condo. Then he got a serious girlfriend. I bought their first Coconut Grove little house with like
Yeah.
2 bedrooms. The guy has 4 kids. He called me the other day, he's like, I have to buy a house. And now, so it's the third transaction with him. So I love that.
Gets
It's
the
wonderful.
relationship going well, huh?
Yeah.
That's good. So Christina, is there anything else that we left out today before we, bring this into an end?
Not that I could think of, but I had the best time. I think we talked about so much,
Really?
and I loved talk. You said, about FIU Law. When this is ready, I'm gonna send it over to my contacts at FIU Law.
Nice.
If we could
Shout
get
out to FIU
something
Law.
going. Yeah.
Keep fighting over there. I'm really glad you had a good time.
For this,
Please.
because something about the evolution of the last it's been 12 years on my own, is the last like year or two, I kind of stepped back from marketing and getting
Yeah.
out there and doing interviews and stuff. And I made that like my January thing. It's like, I gotta get back out there. I want to
Yeah.
be more visible. So this helped me a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. We're really excited to connect, and thanks for coming on. You're a great guest. So stay right there. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.